In looking at set design, we read John Patrick Shanley's Doubt. If you've ever attended a play, you know that set design is an incredibly important art in transporting the audience into the world of the play. As we read in the theater experience, when the audience members attend a theater production, they first encounter the environment, the look and size of the space. The scenic designer creates the visual world in which the play unfolds. I love that. If we explore that further, think about performances you may have attended. In many cases, a curtain is not used to hide the set, but rather the set is on stage for full viewing as the audience enters the space. The audience develops a connection, a curiosity about the play simply by what they see on the stage. If any of you have the opportunity to attend any of the Great Plains Theater Conference performances, and if not, I highly recommend it. They are at the end of May. Then you saw how stage space and set work together to bring an audience to another place, to the theater. At Great Plains Theater Conference in 2012, Naomi Izuki's At the Vanishing Point, directed by University of Nebraska-Omaha Scott Glasser, was the perfect example of how set enhanced the play, because it was performed at Kenneco, a site-specific found space, and the set and the location married to inform the play. It's wonderful. In Doubt, the first encounter with the set propels the audience into the action, and the set, as a character, does not disappoint. Father Flynn preaches from his pulpit. He coaches from the court, and Sister Aloysius's office represents the heaviness of the play, while the garden might be looked at as the sanctuary of truth. This discussion about set bubbles the question about whether a playwright must give detailed instructions for set design. I'm going to take that further to include writing for screen to give you an idea of the differences of stage and screen. First, let's look at screenwriters. When someone writes a script for screen, it is usually purchased or optioned, and then the writer's rights end with that negotiation. A producer can then take that writer's script and assign an entire group of other writers to alter the script either minimally or majestically. The only rights a screenwriter has over his or her writing comes from the contract negotiations. As an example, she or he could negotiate that they stay on as a writer once the script is purchased or optioned. However, if a screenwriter is too precious about changes to a script, she or he might find that there's not a lot of work out there. It is expected in screenwriting that your words are only kept sacred until you hand over that script. Now, on to playwriting. The Dramatists Guild of America, which we've talked about earlier, is the professional guild which works with and looks out for the rights of the playwright. Unlike screen, writers for the stage have control over their words forever. The first rights on the Bill of Rights for the Dramatists Guild are listed in the body of this email. I'm going to touch on them, but do please read them. They are required reading. In process and production, artistic integrity. No one can make changes, alterations, and/or omissions to your script, including the text, title, and stage directions, without your consent. This is called script approval. There's also approval of production elements. There's also right to be present. So do read these in the body of the email. So in essence, when a playwright writes, all of that is set in stone. And when she or he writes the set to be minimal, that's what is expected. And when she or he writes the set to be grand, that's what is expected. And a scenic designer will read and fall into and understand and develop set with that in mind. There is a trust within the collaborative spirit of theater. The legendary American playwright Edward Albee has shut down productions of his plays because something was altered without his permission. Let me say that again. Edward Albee had shut down plays because things were altered without his permission. So the word there is permission. I'm going to give you a good example of when permission works. A play of mine was going up in Boston, and a young actor was hired for the lead role, which was a 15-year-old character. This particular character was written to use the F word twice in the script, and his mother objected, asking the director if we could use another word. The director phoned me, asked, and we agreed on the word screw, that it could be used and have just as much of an impact as the F word if performed well. That is the way to make change. Permission. Then, of course, there's interpretation. Some playwrights are famous for their minimal approach to stage directing, allowing a director and creatives, such as a scenic designer, to exercise their craft to create the world of the play. Some playwrights are overly active with stage direction, directing the last placement of a chair. In my opinion, the best playwrights fall somewhere in the middle. We write the important stage directions. If someone needs to enter, exit, touch, kiss, throw, dance, etc. We also write what we see in our mind as important for the scenic designers to work off of. And then we leave the other things to directors and the creatives are envisioned.